Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, well, this is basically like 12 years in the making now. And just as a refresher, as always, to start off, we are going to be revisiting, first, the Secret Marine of Halo 3 on the mission The Covenant. So, about 12 years ago, probably a little less than that, maybe 11 and a half years, one of my very first videos, like within the first few months of making my channel, I uploaded a video about a secret marine on the mission The Covenant on Halo 3. And basically what I'm showing right now is the exact same tutorial that I did all those years ago. And I have actually revisited this a couple times since then on MCC. But the problem is, back then, and for all these years, I and many others believed this little secret marine at the top of this mountain over here, after the third rally point on the Covenant, was an Easter egg. So let me show you real quick. So once you get a ghost and you climb up this mountain, and you have to be kind of quick to see this, but when you climb up the mountain, this little marine standing up here, just, you know, chilling and really doing nothing. And, you know, at the time I assumed it was an Easter egg, and it makes sense because on Halo 1 there was also like a similar secret marine hidden outside the map on a mission 343 Guilty Spark. But anyways, there was that one marine there, and sometimes you could even get two marines up on this mountain, which I actually never even figured out, like, what was the cause, like what triggers the second marine. So yeah, like I said, I thought it was an Easter egg at first, and some people argued that it was actually like a placeholder for certain spawns vehicles. Well, we were all wrong. They are not placeholders, and they are actually not Easter eggs either. So to explain what they are and to solve this mystery, I'm gonna basically show you. It's better to visualize it than just simply explain it. So let me just show you a little trick you can do to basically guarantee their spawns and actually even spawn the third marine. That's right, there's actually a third marine that could spawn up there, which is pretty much almost impossible to do unless you like to do accidentally. So basically all you gotta do is just at this part, kill all the marines, just betray them all. But don't destroy all the vehicles just yet. Just take out the marines first, because timing is a little important here. But just take out all the marines, and once they're all gone, make sure the vehicles aren't destroyed just yet. I would also make sure you have a rocket launcher at this part to make this easier. But just get to your mongoose, and be prepared to drive forward really quick. So at this point, destroy the Scorpion tank and destroy the Warthog. You might be able to see like where this is going now, but let's continue on and then I'll help you visualize it in a bit. So just drive on forward, and let's watch what happens here. So we're gonna drive forward and keep going as normal. And actually, we're not gonna grab the ghost just yet. We want to be a little quicker here, so that's why we're going in this direction. And it's actually very important why we're going in this direction, but I'll explain that after I show you guys the results of what we just did. So right now you can already see some things have changed. If you look up above, just a little bit out the screen there, you saw like a pelican fly down, and see it's dropping off another Warthog there. So that pelican is dropping off the Warthog because the game is scripted to actually spawn a pelican outside the map and drop off the Warthog to replace the blown up Warthog that we just, well, blew up. But that's, you know, that's not like a big deal, and actually you've probably seen that before. But now when we climb the mountain, there are now 3 marines up here. Not 1, not 2, but 3. Like 2 marines alone was already very rare, but now that we have a third marine. So what is going on here? What is the secret marine? Or who is the secret marine? Or something like that. Well, like I said, it is not an Easter egg, nor is it an intentional placeholder. It is actually both part of the game's scripted functions and also a glitch. So let's go over the scripted part first. And I'll explain why there's 3 marines here, and that will also explain why the marines even spawned up here in the first place. So let's go back to here when we blew up the vehicles. And let's get them blown up and go on ahead, and this time, instead of going ahead, we're going to stay behind in theater mode and watch what's going on with the vehicles. So as I drive ahead and load the rest of the mission, you'll see a lot of things start despawning, but the vehicles still remain behind, both the blown up Warthog and Scorpion tank. And then all of a sudden they just disappear. Now you may think they were actually despawned, but that's actually not the case. They were actually teleported up ahead here. So they're still blown up actually, but they were just teleported up ahead to that spawn point. So what's actually going on is once you drive ahead and you drive up to about right here where I am in this general area, maybe a little bit further back, you're actually hitting a trigger volume or a trigger point. So what happens when you hit that trigger point at that spot there is the game checks back in that section where all the blown up vehicles were and where all the brutes were. It'll check in that general area. I don't know the exact zone it will check, like the exact boundaries of it, but it will check there to see if the vehicles are still there. The Warthog and the Scorpion tank are still there. If they are still there, regardless of what state they're in, they'll be teleported forward. But once they're teleported forward, they also check to see if the drivers and the gunners on the Warthog are still alive. If they are not still alive, or actually if they're not even in the vehicles, then they'll spawn those up there. Those 3 Marines up there. Well, actually, that depends. If the it depends on each vehicle. If the Warthog has no driver or gunner, then it will spawn whatever it's missing up on a mountain. And same with the tank. If the tank has no driver that's alive, it will spawn it up there. And of course, if the Warthog is completely destroyed, in addition to that, then it'll spawn the Pelican up on top of the mountain to fly down and drop it off. Now, you may be thinking, that's the glitch right there. They're supposed to... The game, checks for them, and then they spawn on a mountain. So wrong spawn point, right? Well, no, that's actually not the case. So now we're doing something a little bit different. This time I killed all the Marines, but I left both vehicles intact. And I'm going to show you guys what happens if you leave them both intact and sitting upright. The sitting upright point is actually important, which I'll explain again in a second. But for now, let's move on ahead and watch what happens. So as you can see, boom, they all teleport here. But this time, because they're still intact and perfectly fine, they teleport with AIs in them. The Warthog actually teleports like basically in the ground, and it looks like it's a bug on MCC, but it gets thrown like really far as like part of a glitch. But that's kind of MCC exclusive. But the teleporting part is not. So, what's going on here? Well, like I said before, when you hit that trigger point or trigger volume, the game checks for if these vehicles are still in that area. And if they are in that area, and if they are, if they exist in general, then they will spawn those Marines up on a mountain first. Now, this all happens in like milliseconds or microseconds. But once the Marines spawn, the game then forces the Marines to teleport into the vehicles. This all happens like a split second, and it's almost like not noticeable in theater mode when they spawn. So if the vehicles are still upright and still intact, then the Marines will teleport to their respective vehicles just fine. However, if the vehicles, you may be thinking like you've seen the 2 Marines before on a mountain, even though you didn't specifically destroy the Warthog, and you're on easy difficulty and the Warthog couldn't possibly be destroyed that quickly. Well, that is because sometimes the Warthog can get flipped over by the brutes here. Especially if you have cowbells go on, it's more likely to get flipped over. If a vehicle is flipped upside down when it gets teleported, then the Marines won't be able to spawn into that vehicle. So either flipped upside down or destroyed, and when a game checks for him and spawns the Marines and tries to force the Marines into the vehicles, it is unable to force the Marines into a destroyed vehicle or an upside down vehicle. So that is why they spawn on a mountain then, because they have nothing to teleport into. Now, the last question you might be having is, what about the single Marine? If you just play the game normally, you don't mess around with the Warthogs or Scorpion tanks. Well, that's what we're doing right now. This was our regular playthrough. We don't do anything special. And you can see the both Marines are fine in the Warthog, on the turret and in the driver's seat. And this is where the game checks for the Warthog and teleports them forward. And the Scorpion tank, I actually drove too fast and got left behind, but technically, it's not in that area, so the game doesn't see it. But, see, the game still teleported the Marines just fine in the Warthog, both the driver and the gunner. And still, despite the gunner still being alive, the Marine is still up here. So why is that? Well, that is because that is actually a glitch. That's where the glitch is that I mentioned at the beginning. When the game checks for the drivers are still alive, if they're not alive, then that's when they spawn on the mountain, and then they get forced back into the vehicles to replenish the squad. However, for some reason, only with the turret, with the gunner, the game always thinks the gunner is dead when it checks for the vehicles in this point. So that is actually a glitch that's been around forever, and that is why that Marine spawns at the top there, regardless of whether you mess with the Warthog or not. So that is the glitch in the game script. For some reason, its checking is flawed. So yeah, there you have it. That is why the Marines spawn up there. And the last thing I want to tackle in this mystery is why the Marines don't spawn at all in co-op if you do it correctly. So as you can see here, we just blew up the Scorpion tank and flipped the Warthog upside down in co-op with my friend the Blue Thunder here. And you know, we've already hit the trigger point, the trigger volume there, or where it's supposed to be. And yet, the Warthog and the Scorpion tank, regardless whether they're blown up or intact, do not teleport. And because of that, the Marines will not spawn on top of the mountain, no matter which one you do, no matter what combination you do, or whatever. So, basically, I don't have an exact explanation of why that happens, but for some reason on co-op, the game just simply does not do that check for the vehicles that are still in that zone. And if it doesn't do that check, if they're still in a zone, then it doesn't do the teleporting and then spawning on the mountain. So, yeah, that is why it happens. I don't know why it doesn't check on co-op, but that's just the case. So there you have it. Mystery solved. After 12 years, we now know that the Secret Marine on the Covenant is just there because of a glitch. The individual one. And then the other Marines, subsequent Marines, like the second one and even the third one, spawn there because the vehicles they're supposed to teleport into are either upside down or destroyed. So that is why the Secret Marine appears. It is not an Easter egg. It is not a placeholder or anything, or it's not a test thing left behind. It is just simply the Marines are unable to teleport into their vehicles they're supposed to be teleported into. Or in the case of the first one, the game thinks the gunner is dead, so it spawns the gunner on a mountain, but because the Warthog already has a gunner on it, it can't teleport the gunner, the new gunner, into the turret. So that is why. Now if you were to kill that gunner, it would still spawn on the mountain and get teleported correctly, but for some reason the game just, you know, it gets the wrong check, I guess, in that case. But yeah, so hopefully you guys found this to be interesting, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and leave your thoughts and comments on this little solved mystery now. It's one of my oldest videos, but I'm glad to have finally solved the mystery. And unfortunately, I debunked the Easter egg and placeholder theories. But yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, and of course if there's anything else for me to check out, feel free to let me know in the comments as well, and I'll do my best to look into it. But other than that, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys!